Yes, yes, yes. Let's see if I can go lower. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Is that a note? I don't know if that's even a note. Not noteworthy. What? That's what I do to scare my children. I laugh, and then the cadence of the laugh is different from my mouth moving. Try it with your kids, it's a lot of fun. I do that. It scares the living crap out of them. That's the best part about having children, is being able to scare them at a moment's notice. But be very careful, because they'll do the same to you. Greetings, everybody. Here we are, episode 15. We have a wonderful show packed with information today. For the first ever time, we have the history moment, a new segment brought to you by the lovely people at Daddy Comes First. I've been reading a lot of histories lately. More on that later. First of all, let's check the stats. I'll just like to say we have hit 30, the number of people who have listened to DCF and chosen to be Spotify premium followers. You hear what I say? Premium followers. And what does that mean? Well, that means you want to know, when the next episode is coming out. You want to know right away. Also, impressions are at all-time high. Okay? We're through the roof with impressions, which means people are searching like crazy. It's coming up all over the place. So, we just have to keep on keeping on, as the good Lord says. We gotta keep on keeping on. That was a particularly good run. Oh my God. Low battery. My Mac has low battery. Emergency batteries. Engage. Okay, we've locked on. We have full tactical support here. Okay, we're charging. These are the things. You all don't realize how difficult it is to run a hit podcast. There's all these things going on. Can't even believe that I used to be we call those things? I used to be a engineer. I still am, but I used to be too. You understand? So I was doing some runs. I was like, it's good to be alive. That reminds me of Always and Ever of Beyonce. She's on the scene now doing country music. What do I feel about that? I don't know. Was never a huge fan, but I guess whatever. Everybody trying to go after that country money. You know why? Because say whatever you want about rednecks, but they show up. They show up and they dance their ass off. I used to do this gig called Havelock. And this guy, rumors are he used to be in the Angels. Not Charlie's Angels, huh? Hell's Angels. The HA, we say for short. They run Montreal. But anyway, he built a double barn stage. So each stage was shaped like a barn. And it was horribly designed for technical reasons, but it looked cool. And boy, the country fans used to go up there and make a scene. So they had like assigned seats for the first kind of however many 100 people, maybe a couple thousand people. And then behind that was all bring your own chairs. So people used to show up first thing in the morning, They would come out, lay out their chairs for later, go back to the RV, have some breakfast, absolutely pickle themselves in alcohol, and then they would get turned up in the night. They would show up and listen to, all of this lovely country music. You know what I mean? Which is fun and good times. So Beyonce's into that. Every time I do a run, I think of her country music. But that's the story. You might wonder why I'm dressed like this today. Well, if you don't know by now, you should. But I am also an elite athlete, and I have to get my training in at every opportunity. Yesterday, I got my ass rinsed out by all of my nephews. One of who is 16 and jacked, and the other one is 14. He plays football. He's real good at football. So I told him, first of all, I kind of thought I was gonna lose. I said, listen, if y'all lose to me, a man pushing 40, best years in front of him, but he's not ready for those years yet. Y'all should be ashamed. So what happened was, they beat me. Now it was close. I started off in front. Boom. That's my reflexes. She said, go. Pew. I took off. And I was smoking everybody. And then they just pulled away. So they accelerated slow. I accelerated quickly. And I'm built for that kind of life. I'm built to be tucking and rolling and slicing and dicing. Blades and fades. Shots fired and all that. And I'm built for that life. But my ass was handed to me. I was screaming halfway through the race, I have nothing left. And so I got a bit smart. I said, boy, let me get my fitness back, yes? Because I hold on to the fact that I ran a marathon and did a very good time. First and only marathon. But we came up on 5 years ago. So I can't really hold on to that too much longer. 5 years ago is a long time ago. Proximity effect. You speak quieter, you move into the microphone. So, yeah, I get back fit. Starting a new job shortly, I believe. We'll see. Gonna have some chats about that with the owner of the company this day. And that might free up a bit of time to not have to worry about stress and all that kind of crap. And then I have a couple of exciting food things in the pipeline. Oh, God, it's going to be a good summer, I think. It's going to be a good summer. I just need to keep my cool, solder on, figure out, the best way to do this, because guess what? Summer's coming. We're already a third way through the year. You think an hour is a day, but for us, it's the other way around. You think you have an hour, you turn around, you're fat, your ears pop, you itch your nuts, and another hour's gone by. So, that's kind of what it is. So, I'm trying to get my fitness back. I don't want to be old and decrepit, but I don't want to beat my body to death too, so that I have nothing left when I get older. It's that fine line. Is your body a battery that wishes not to be pushed too far? This is a question that I ask you. So that's it. You gotta get your fitness back. We are old, gentlemen. We are old. But that's all right. As I said before, old is fun. What do we like? We like to go to quiet places and talk about... Skelly. He's okay. He's been a bit under the weather lately. I don't know what the story is. I don't know if it's allergies or what. But my skeleton just fell down. He's okay now. He's okay, I think. He looks a little shocked. He's a little embarrassed. Don't look. Do not look, please. He's okay. He'll come around. Just don't make a scene. A fucking scene. Anyway, that's what's going on with me. I'm trying to get fit. I'm starting a new job. Some real fun things in the pipeline, food-wise. Jokes. Y'all know I'm going to bring the jokes and the nonsense to y'all at least once a week on the podcast. Hoping, not hoping. You can't say hoping. I learned that recently. You can't say I'm gonna try. You can't say I'm hoping. You gotta say I'm gonna do. I will do some more stand-up spots this summer. I will do that. Please, thank you. So, some of these spots start late enough so I could come home, have dinner with the children, family, put the kids to bed, trouble the wife's vagina for a couple of minutes, and then head back out on the town and do my set. So that's the goal. So lots of good things. Which brings us to our first ever episode of History Moment. History's Moment. Alright, so my name is Eamon, right? I was named after Eamon de Valera, who had a big hand in the Irish War of Independence against the British, right? And that happened in 1916, basically, right? So what a lot of people don't know is that England was fucking around, right? They knew that shit was coming to an end. So Queen Victoria spent the last half of the 18th century showing up her stronghold in Europe, right? Her family. So at one point, either in the late 1800s or the early 1900s, she was the grandmother to the German, not chancellor, what do you call it, boy? The German custard. No, not the custard. Kaiser. The German custard Kaiser. She was his grandmother. She was the Russian Tsar's grandmother. And she also was, the French something. It might be French, might be English. These not gonna be, and I mean this, these history moments, they're not gonna be, it's gonna be a vibe of history. So some of the facts mightn't be all there. But anyway, Queen Victoria was smart, right? They always say that these people are inbred and stupid. They weren't. Queen Victoria was like, listen, I know the way this world going. Oil is now the big deal. Nobody likes sugar and cigarettes anymore. Or they do, but we done juice out orange. All these other countries getting oil. What I had to do is I had to solidify my family's future in Europe, which is where all the power was. So you basically sell off your children and whatever, all this kind of evil shit that they do, but that's what it is. That's what it is to be a monarch. So Ireland, India, and there's a third country. Who was it, boy? Might have been Morocco or some shit. But anyway, multiple countries realized that they didn't want these fools around anymore, right? They didn't want these limey cunts around telling them what to do. The Irish had had it for 700 years. They had had enough. They were sick of it. India, they were really, they had enough too. And the third one was, let's call it Morocco. And so anyway, they all got together and they were like, listen, let's fucking get the fuck out of here. Let's get these whites out of here, right? Obviously, the indigenous people in Ireland were white too, but, different. So what basically happened was they all got together and they were like, listen, if we all revolt at the same time, if we all battle them up at the same time, they'll be spread too thin. So at the start of the 1900s, this is what the conversation was. They got together and they were like, listen, if we all revolt at the same time, what are they going to do? Fight all of us? So then, fast forward 15 years, they get given a gift. What happens? World War I. Now England really distracted. Now the British Empire is under real pressure. So they can't fight everybody. They can't fight world wars and India and Ireland. So Eamon de Valera, he knew this, and Michael Collins, he was the other. Both of them were at the forefront of the War of Independence. I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't know too much about it. What I'm reading about now is the Civil War, which happened right after that. Basically, what happened is the War of Independence, again, we're just going to gloss over that for now, maybe for a future episode, happened. Right? And the English were like, well, you gotta sign this treaty or we'll start the war back up. And the treaty was basically like, you could be your own country, right? Yeah, independent, but not republic. So what that means is Yeah, they do all kind of fucking just real passive aggressive shit. Like when the parliament stands up at the start, they had to say we love the queen and or the king at the time, all this kind of nonsense. Real fucking petty shit. And they could keep some army. They could keep a couple of naval bases, and there was something else, right? A couple of just little things, right? And now the IRA was like, fuck that. We didn't just lose a set of good Irishmen just to sign over and stand up and say, God save the queen or the king or whatever that nonsense. It was like, hold your mother, God. Nobody ain't doing that. But the Irish provisional government, which was set up to kind of see Ireland through this moment of transition, was like, listen, it's the best we're gonna get. Let me just take it, and then we're probably not gonna stand up anyhow. We'll stand up in the door and we'll say, tell her, hold your mother, cunt. Let me just do it. Let me just go for it with the treaty and whatever. But the IRA and now Sinn Féin, right, which is a political party which was born out of the IRA, they was like split in two. Not exactly 50-50, but someone was like, look, let's just go with the treaty. We'll sort all this other shit down the road. These are small issues. But the hardcore men, they was like, nah, fuck that. It's all or nothing, right? They had already been through a few years of brutal, horrific death. And they were like, well, we made it through that. We go in again. Whereas there were other members of Sinn Féin who were like, listen, we want to lose more Irish people. What are we going to do? Fight about this? We're going to fight about this? And then so basically, they're at odds. And this is where Eamon de Valera, my namesake, and Michael Collins saw differently, right? Michael Collins was like, listen, let's just move on. We'll deal with this treaty and we'll phase all that other gay shit out. I don't know if he said it was gay, but he probably did. I feel like they spoke like that back then, right? And so he was pretending to be cool with the English Prime Minister at the time, right? But things kicking off there too. People not happy over in England. So now he was telling, boy, this man, he was telling the Prime Minister, no, we'll keep things cool. And then, of course, now in Northern Ireland, they don't want to hear anything about no treaty. They want to be part of the United Kingdom. They want nothing to hear about. They even want Catholics up there. So they're killing Catholics up there, right? So the Prime Minister writes a couple of times to Michael Collins and he's like, Mike, listen, just go up to the north there. I just calm those fellas down, because the last thing we need is a war, is battle, and things kicking off in the Northern Ireland. Michael Collins says, listen, buddy, don't worry about it. I know what you're saying. Don't stress. Don't study a dread. I'll go and talk to them, man. It's a cool scene. What does he do? He tells them to kill them, American. He tells the IRA, he's like, listen, if they step out of line, if they only trip over their shoelace and attack any Catholic in Northern Ireland, you have my full backing to blow their fucking ass up. Now, he didn't tell the Prime Minister that, but that's what was going on behind the scenes. So then now, we'll skip a couple of other details, but we get to a point where we cannot agree, right? And the pro-treaty and anti-treaty sides go to war together. Irish Civil War. Okay? And so De Valera is now against Collins, right? Now, Eamon de Valera is a little bit older. Everybody is young. Collins is like 31, I think. All these other people who are, in the provisional government at this point, young, in their 20s, some might be in their 30s. Eamon de Valera was old, so he didn't give a shit. If you think old people now don't give a shit. Eamon de Valera was old. I think he was in his 60s. And so he was still stirring the pot and fucking shit up. So, enter the biggest British cunt of all time, Winston Churchill. Churchill he's a piece of shit, as we all know, right? But sometimes you need pieces of shit to do things, to help Britain win the war, whatever. He comes along and he's like, listen, you better squash all those anti-treaty men right away, because if you don't handle this thing with the utmost urgency, things gonna get real. And I'm not pulling out my troops anymore, because he started to pull out British troops, all the people who subjugated the Irish people for, millennia almost. Not millennia, centuries. He started pulling them out, and he stopped pulling them out. He's like, y'all take your time. Take your time, and all your men was enjoying this season, and take, enjoy your time. He tell them, so he's slowing down the troop retreat. And then what does he do? Classic Churchill, he realized they're divided, and he could really weaken Ireland by introducing guns. So he tells the pro-treaty side, he says, listen, you gotta sort these fucking men out right now, sort them out! And they're like, we can't really start a civil war. He's like, listen, I'll send you some guns. He sends hundreds of rifles and a couple of machine guns, right? And what happens next? So they're now armed up to the gills, and they go fighting each other. Okay? They're fighting each other. Irishman fighting Irishman. Okay? Now, just to give you an idea of the complexity, okay? During the War of Independence, there would have been, let's say, a family, I'm making up the name of a family here, whose one son might have been fighting with the British in World War I. Okay? He comes home and he realizes his brother is fighting against the British for independence. And then the Civil War happens, and a third brother says, maybe we shouldn't sign this treaty. The other brother says, we should. The other brother's like, well, I just finished fighting with these motherfuckers. Some of them are my friends. So that's the complexity we're dealing with. So there's a showdown at the four courts, the 4 points, the 4 rivers, something with 4. I can't remember the name of it, in Dublin, right? So anti-treaty IRA members, they hole up in this thing. This is in the middle of Dublin, on the Liffey Dread, on the keys. So they hold up inside there, and inside of the rooms where they are millions upon millions of documents. Ireland's history, people's family trees, who owns money to who owns land, ting. So they're saying there's no way they're not gonna attack us in here. We throw some sandbags out, lock up the place, nobody getting us out of here. Oh yeah? Churchill says, I'll give you some machine guns. Shoot, they can't blow them up. It's 60 of them. And they're saying, that's all we records in it, that's we fucking history, dread. He's saying, who cares about papers? Light them up. So what happens is, they light them up. They shoot however many thousand rounds into the building catch fires, all these records get destroyed, all the nerds are freaking out. You know what I mean? They don't know who owes what anymore. They just finished the new filing system. You know what I mean? Whatever his name is, O'Donovan was like, this. You know how long this took me to organize this, and you'll now lit all these things on fire, and he's begging people in the streets to pick up the papers. The papers are in the Liffey. They're going down the stream, paper boats. And then the fight just escalates, and it jumps from building to building. This is in the middle of Dublin, by the way. In the middle of downtown Dublin. Rat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat. Shooter. And it doesn't end well for the IRA, the anti-treaty IRA. Why? Because Churchill supplied the pro-treaty side with guns. He knew. He's so fucking smart and stink. He knew. He said, these animals will fight each other. And how can I make them really mess up each other? I'll give one side plenty guns. So he saw the crack. He saw the people were broken from years of war during the independence. And he knew that political power was new to some of these people. It was new to De Valera. He only had it for a few years. It was new to Collins, so he knew he could corrupt them with a few letters and a couple of guns and get them to fight each other. Because as we know, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So he's the real content all this. He's the real saying next Tuesday. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. That's the end of part 1. Because that's why I reach in the book. I haven't even finished the book, right? I try to bring you all as the freshest of the fresh as I can. But Michael Collins gets shot on orders of Eamon de Valera. Once his brother in arms rising up against the tyrannical British regime, quite literally, he gets shot in the back. I think he gets shot in the stomach, but we'll say the back because it's more theatrical that way. And while he was dying, he said, "I'll fucking kill everybody." No, he didn't. We don't know what he said. We don't know what he said. Of course, everybody tried to say they knew what he said. Nobody knew what he said. So that's the end of part 1. I hope you enjoy that. I'm going to bring you more history from all over the world. Ratatat history! And I hope this week serves you well. Happy Monday. You're probably going to listen to this on Friday. But I still love you. I do. Daddy goes first.